Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Boring Enterprise Nerdletter talk. As usual, it's me, Jelena and my co-host Paul Moderman. We gathering every 2 weeks to discuss the potential material for our upcoming Nerdletter issue. And this is our bi-weekly discussion. So it's my turn to go first. So I will start with my subjects.
Here comes the inside
Yeah,
baseball.
here you go. Bam. Okay. All right. So my big kind of piece de resistance this week,
Yeah.
going back to the composable ERP, and
Yeah.
apparently it's moving beyond composable ERP. Now it's like the whole composable enterprise. To be
Mm,
honest, we have written about composable ERP before, like quite a
yeah.
few issues ago,
Yep.
and it's not a subject that I was expecting to come back so soon, but there have been some posts from SAP of all companies, which was pretty surprising, to be honest, um, about this composable enterprise. And
Mm,
it's just one thing that annoys me beyond belief when there's those C-level executives and marketing people. They're just churning their machine and just spinning
yeah.
out this composable stuff without really, I don't know, any substance sometimes towards it. So
Yeah.
long story short, this is an article that is kind of my starting point for this
Mm,
for this for my story. And there have been, like I said, posts on social media from Mueller. I think he's like CTO of SAP, again talking about composable enterprise. And keep in mind, this is essentially paid article written by SAP themselves. So whatever you're reading here, that's official
oh,
marketing. It's yeah. And what really kind of drove me mad
yeah.
here, it's his beginning. It says composable enterprise, blah blah blah, means you can recompose processes dynamically and rearrange based on interchangeable building blocks when needed without specialist knowledge or a developer. And I'm just reading this and I don't know what planet this person lives on. It's I it's every time I read this, like just how, I mean, of course, yeah, it's a very nice to talk in theory how, yeah, building something from little pieces that seems like it would be maybe scalable and resilient, but what exactly are you talking about? What exactly
Yeah.
are you proposing? And that's the piece that always seems to be missing from this conversation. And this article surprisingly gets a little bit better when they start talking about some research that was done as part of that Hesse-Plattner Institute, but a lot of it's like from kind of from no shit Sherlock department, because they're talking main challenges with composable enterprise. It's one of them is data. I mean, I mean, obviously SAP has that master data management product for this
Hmm.
exact reason, because
Hmm.
that's a challenge.
Yeah.
How you make sure that your product number ABC is the same as
Yep.
product ABC in another system. How do you make sure that across your whole enterprise and now across all those multiple bits and pieces that your data flows correctly and
Mm,
accurately and etc. So it's really where I kind of want to point to at many holes in this whole composable enterprise conversations. And I bet anyone, I'm not a betting person, but I bet like $20 and composable enterprise is going to be centerpiece of SAP Tech at keynote, unless Herr Mueller is watching this and
yeah.
thinking like, oh
Interesting.
crap, I need to redo my whole keynote plan.
Right. Yeah. Because
That's
he's
that's
like, what do the
definitely
boring enterprise nerds have to
yeah,
say about
like
this?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Suddenly everyone, PR, urgent meeting. We need to
I
we need
just
to
here's
change of
here,
plans.
I
Yeah.
totally see it. He's got a little button in his office that's shaped like our glasses thing, right? And he just slaps that button as soon as our stories come out. And he's like, "Stop the presses. These guys say it's terrible." And by the way, I was reading this screen as you were going through it,
Mhm.
and I see a quote there that's one of these drive me nuts quotes. And it says, scroll back down a little bit. Stop. We're looking at a process execution architecture that's value driven. And I was like, I understand all of those words
Yeah. What does it
individually,
mean?
but like you got to draw me a picture because that feels like a floating off in space sentence to me.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
step one, process execution architecture. Step three, profit. Oh my goodness. So yeah, and I could just I don't know, I'm just super tempted just go over this whole article piece by piece and just totally make fun of it because when I read it, I'm like, it's like the onion piece, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, so
That's funny.
that's a big piece of it. So second,
By the
more
way, Yelena, that's a brilliant idea. We should make like the onion for like enterprise stuff.
for SAP,
Oh my
for
God,
enterprise software.
that
Yeah,
would totally work too.
fake
I have a
articles.
million ideas about how that could work. Oh my
Oh my
God.
goodness. Yeah, we should
Man,
reserve the domain like
yeah,
Enterprise Onion or
the
something.
enterprise onion.
Awesome.
Oh
It's
man.
ours. It's ours. Nobody think of it.
We said it.
Uh,
We said it.
it's
Verbal trademark. Yeah.
trademark now. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It's out there. All right. So my second piece is it's kind of around this post. I don't have like crystallized idea, but it's just a direction I'm thinking of. So this person is saying this might sound silly, but it actually doesn't. For someone who's been in
Yeah.
SAP space, it's actually very typical questions
Yeah.
that we
Yep.
have seen before. Because business users, I mean, it's nice to have all those reports, but I see so many times that people they really just want to see tables, and I totally
Yep.
get it. I like tables
I
myself
absolutely get
because
it.
I want to get to the data.
100%.
But it's so, and there are ways to do that in SAP, which I will probably cover very briefly in my story. Like there was like SQ01, SQVI, we all know those transactions. And in S4HANA, it's more like that key user, whatever extensibility, analytical queries. So that's kind of SQ01 for the new age. But I think what unfortunately is not seen behind those requests, it's going back to the same like composable enterprise and your data flowing from one piece to another. It's nice that yeah, you can give like some access to tables to 100 users, but what are they going to do with them? What conclusions are they going to drive from them? It's okay if someone is going to look at the table and it's just going to help them to get the list of, I don't know, sales orders or purchase orders to work with, it's fine. But if someone wants to use this to get some kind of metrics, some kind of figures to share with someone, that's where that data governance piece comes in frequently, which
Yeah.
everyone hates, but that really needs to be there so that everyone does not start comparing apples to oranges and talking
Yeah.
about different things. So that's a piece I think that many people just kind of don't see there. And my third one, which will be probably one of those slightly ranty pieces, which
Ooh, bring on the
want to,
rants.
yeah,
Yes, here we go.
I want to define as sometimes better is enemy of good. And I have two pieces that kind of my thought triggers that don't seem to be
Yeah.
connected from the first glance, but they are in my mind. In my mind, they converged as a big rant because we all know that Adobe bought Figma recently, and I know that many people liked Figma when it was independent, and not many people are super happy about this acquisition. And that goes even for Adobe. I think shareholders, everyone thinks they overpaid, but that's not the point. We see here like, oh, yes, Figma CPO hopes, blah, blah, blah. And he says like Figma might tackle video or 3D objects someday. And I'm reading this and I'm like, how about not? I mean, can Figma just be just doing well things that it does well? And the second piece is that kind of supports my statements. Slack is now owned by Salesforce, right? And
Yeah.
again, Salesforce also taken major hit from their shareholders again for this purchase. And now Slack is like, we are turbocharging Slack and Salesforce customer 360 value. And I am a Slack fan. I use Slack in my previous jobs. We use it right
100%.
now. We
100%.
use it with Paul together. I mean,
yeah,
to talk about newsletter.
We use a Slack channel ourselves.
And
Yeah,
it's really good at simple things that it does as a platform to like quickly connect with people, like talk to them, have those conversations. It's really good at it. Like exchange some memes, I don't know, files. It's good. I don't freaking want like those Slack canvas, and it's not like I can ignore them if they're okay, if they're good, they sitting there. I don't use them. They're not bothering me. But what I feel like ends up happening, and the poster child for this is Skype, that was acquired by Microsoft, and I used it for more than a decade to talk to my parents every week. And it sucks so much since Microsoft got over it. The suckage just never stops. They add this stupid stuff in there, and every week we use it now. We're actually, so over a decade of use, we are now considering about switching to another platform because honestly, we're just sick and tired of it. It was very simple tool to do very simple thing and do it very beautifully, effectively, efficiently. And now it's turning into, I don't know what, to be honest. It's like a second Zoom competition. Like, why? We have Zoom. Zoom is good at what it does as well. So I don't know. So that's kind of my old woman yells at clouds or
no, because here's funny is that I have something about Slack in my pile too.
Mm-hmm.
I love Slack, and I love Slack. I don't know if there's even evidence of it anymore. There was one time, so Jelena, you work at Mindset where I used to work.
Mm-hmm.
I built a Slack bot for Mindset once, and what I love about Slack, and which I'm sure is going to die, is that playful, fun nature of it. Like Slack is like on the road to where Teams is now, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
I built a Slack bot where you could set emoji traps. So you could tell the bot, okay, the next time somebody posts a message in this channel, spam that message with as many emoji as fit, right? Because Slack can go up to like 22 or 23 emoji per message. So I would set a trap for Luke. So when he would say, "Hey guys, make sure to turn in your timesheets," or whatever Luke always is saying, right? It would go blow, and it would just slap that message with like 23 little random. It was always random too. I found the list of the emoji codes, and I just had the program pick 23 random ones, and just as soon as he sent it, it just smeared the emoji all over that chain.
The bane of consulting existence.
Yeah. Gosh. My current company would empathize with that because they'd be like, "Yeah, Paul sucks at timesheets," and I do. So
bad Paul.
Bad. Oh, dude. Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that. That's not. let's not reminisce how I'm in trouble every week from people about that. That's nope.
All right. So that was my three candidates. So Paul, over to you.
Over to me.
You're ready.
Let me share
let's
my
reveal.
Screen.
Let's look into Paul's twisted mind.
So I was going to talk about Slack too. My angle on it is Slack, of course, now is even more enterprising than before because of that Salesforce acquisition. And it's looking like there's going to be sort of this like mashing up nature of Slack with all this industry cloud stuff. And like part of me is like, okay, I don't know, like what are you gonna do there?
Like that
does and it's always like the thing about that is like, and I didn't even read the whole piece. I saw that they're looking to use some of their Slack consulting partners to sort of join up their industry solutions into Slack. And part of me is like, oh, interesting. And part of me is like, this is like the start of putting on the straws that break the camel's back and destroying what Slack is for it to become something else, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll survive, but I don't know. I did a piece for our nerdletter probably 10 issues ago or something like that, I remember, where somebody from Salesforce was talking. I think it was Mark Benioff, CEO, was saying how since their acquisition, he was trying to spin it positive, and maybe it is positive by now. He was saying that Slack is actually a factor now in lots of their deals that they make, in terms of like, oh yeah, you buy Salesforce, you get some kind of discount on Slack licenses or something like that. I don't know what it is, but apparently Salesforce sees fit to gamble with Slack sort of joining forces with some of this other industry cloud enterprise stuff. So we'll see where it goes. I want to kind of take a look and find out, but it could be interesting, but it also could be like, ugh, like kind of want to puke a little bit. I don't know. I don't know which I don't know which way I'm gonna feel about it yet. But that's what I'm gonna look at for my first one
Yeah.
is the Slack piece of this
By
equation.
the way, I think that's sorry for kind of sidetracking
No,
that a
that's
little
okay.
bit. I was reading about kind of similar issue in food industry of all places. It's the same like acquisitions by larger companies, like a small, I don't know, some ice cream company gets acquired by a big one, and now suddenly the same beloved ice cream is not the same anymore. Why? Because
Yeah.
big company wants to cut costs and doesn't care if it's cutesy. And Ben
Yeah.
and Jerry is always, I think, quoted in those examples as when they sold, they did sell out eventually to a larger company. I'm not sure which one, but they specifically put some precautions like saying, hey, you know what, you cannot just do that because that would destroy their whole brand and their whole, I guess, say idea of what it should be.
Yeah.
So maybe something that like that should begin to be happening in technology, because our Ben and Jerry and Slack in this case, I feel is a danger of being just gobbled up and chewed out by a large
Yeah.
corporation and just losing all the fun that it had. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Dangerous. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. I don't know. The part of me just is like never fall in love with software because it's just gonna
Yeah,
get eaten
exactly.
by
Yeah,
something else. Yeah.
exactly.
The only way to do it is to write all your own software by hand or something like that, and then you'd never get anything else done. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, up next, uh, is the organizational shape of IT changing? The report out here from this piece saying a few things about how IT has shifted some focuses, like more into security, kind of lagging behind in some of its tech skills and training. It kind of dovetails with a couple of things that I've poked at earlier, both in this and then also in my podcast at work. We've talked to a few IT people, like in the IT role, and how
Mm,
their view of IT has changed as IT leadership in the last 5-10 years. And I certainly myself, as somebody who works with customer IT, have seen IT's role changing these days quite a bit. Um, and so what I want to do is kind of look at what this is saying and see if it jives with what I've been seeing too, because I absolutely see IT changing its shirt these days in terms of
mhm.
how does it have an impact on what goes on, you know? These days it seems like there's a lot more. It's almost like innovation kind of comes from without and sort of lands in IT's lap a little bit. And
Yeah.
IT is very busy like maintaining all of the things that they've bought. They meaning the business or IT, right? And they have a lot, it seems like IT has a lot less capacity for like doing the innovation stuff that I think a lot of the IT workers really sort of joined IT as like, that's what I want to do is I want to do something cool.
Mm,
And I think doing cool stuff is a little bit moving out of IT these days. You know what I mean?
hmm.
Like
Yeah.
it's moving into like shadow IT or like functional IT or functional something or other. It's moving a little bit. It's not losing the computer flavor, it's
Mm.
gaining the business flavor, right? And so,
So it's like the war on IT or
yeah,
something.
yeah, it's something like that. And again, I don't know all of the pieces for this either,
Mhm.
except to say that leadership, tech skills, and strategy are sort of at play here. And I want to compare it to my the things I'm seeing at work too
Mhm.
when I work with IT because I think it's changing. um, next up, I have two other things, and I haven't decided yet which to do. Another Salesforce thing here. This is giving me, so this is a Salesforce Genie. as
Yeah.
a platform thing that kind of has this rhyme of like, is this a Leonardo thing? Is this a
Yeah.
magic thing that doesn't actually do anything thing? You know? So I'm curious about that, but I'm also not like a super Salesforce guy, so I
Mhm.
don't know whether I'm qualified to really poke deep into it. I don't know. The other thing I'm kind of looking at here is low code, no code, the continuing low code, no code discussion. I can't escape it. I think about it quite a bit. Um, both in my day job and just kind of as I'm walking the dog or whatever, I think about how this kind of stuff is going to keep sort of reshaping how maybe not what I specifically do as like a pro level developer, but like the development that goes on in and around the pro level folks, right? In other words, low code, no code in terms of like if IT has like just imagine that 10 years ago IT had 100 asks from the business,
Mhm.
right? And IT would say, you know what, we can handle 25 of those this year. I think that has changed in terms of, I mean, obviously, other changes aside, with low code and no code solutions now, I think businesses are looking at that 100 things a little bit differently.
Mhm.
And IT might be getting this world of like, maybe we can only deliver 25 of those things still, but of the other things that you've asked for, if you have a platform at work, low code, no code platform, you can maybe eat a couple of those things yourself, right? You can maybe do a couple of those things
Yeah.
yourself. Not all of them, for sure, not all of them. But I was at a conference last week in Orlando, and every day at lunch, I sat with people who were not in IT, who were in the business, and every single one of those people described in this case, it was Microsoft, but it could be other platforms too. But they were describing how with this new generation of the Microsoft low code stuff, they were just taking on things that they had to ask for before, and now they
Yeah.
can just do them themselves, right? Again, it was not like gigantic SAP apps, but it was like simpler things that they just didn't have the tools for before, and now they do, you know? So I think that this look at it from a certain standpoint of public sector stuff or whatever case may be will also compare favorably or not favorably compare interestingly to some of what I see day to day in the like low code no code as it pertains to mashing up with enormous gigantic enterprise systems. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that's my angle on this one. So I'll probably do this one for my third piece here.
Yeah, and
Very jabbery, I know, but
I
yeah.
always say that SAP query that SQR1 was original low code or no
Yeah.
code solution, and I actually had quite a good experience using it
Yeah.
and helping our functional consultants to use it because it's just like you said, it just empowered them to help themselves essentially instead of asking me all the time to use ABAP to create reports for them. Very simple ones that did not need anything
Mm.
fancy, just literally connect one table with another. I just showed them, hey, you go in, this is where you find what the table and field name is. Everyone can hit F1 button, and then you
Yeah.
just literally put it here and you drag you set your checkboxes and you're done. You just hit generate and it's there, and it was like mind blowing.
Yeah.
So it's
There's
like took off from there.
there's a lot of ways that SAP, both with the SQ01 and also even the way the way you used to do like sort of some of the other tools and capabilities in there that come bundled with the solution itself
Mm,
was actually like for a while it was very ahead of its time
yeah.
for that level of stuff, right? And
Yep.
somewhere along the way, SAP kind of maybe a little bit, if I'm being real, kind of lost that mojo a little bit.
Mm,
But for a long time, it was very powerful that you got not only that you got like doing this business process, but you got the tools for enhancing it, both code and screens and whatever, came directly inside that very same thing you bought, right? That was and is still a very powerful argument in SAP's favor, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure if SAP would agree anymore.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably less and less these days.
Yeah.
But for a while, it was a very like. I worked with some other enterprise things that were like, how were you get the best we could do was like the best we could do was get a password to the database and then like build our own apps on top of the raw tables. You know what I mean? Like that's what I did that for a couple apps in a previous life, and that's not the same as like going through the motions that the vendor laid out, right? It's powerful, or at least it was. And now low code and no code are coming up strong with that. And there's actually some stuff that I saw at this conference I was at last week that ties into even SAP specifically making SAP work better with these low code no code platforms outside of AppGyver, of course, that's already kind of there. But with Power Platform, they just, one of their acquisitions from a few years ago, Clear Software, announced like the readiness of their stuff now inside Power Platform, ready to be enhanced, monkeyed with, customized and all that kind of stuff right from there. And like I was really shocked. I was in the keynote, and when and I thought it was like, this is a Microsoft conference, who cares? When they announced that SAP stuff was coming into Power Platform in an easier way, legitimately the crowd cheered.
Wow.
And I never would have thought that. I would have thought that everybody in that room was like, oh, SAP, ugh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But legitimately the crowd was like, yeah, that's awesome. And I was like, what world am I living in now? I'm at a Microsoft conference and the people are cheering that they can get SAP data inside their low code stuff. It was
nice.
It was kind of an awesome feeling, really, to be one of those like one of the tiny contingent of SAP people in this giant Microsoft conference. You know,
Alexander, anyway. I know him.
Yeah,
I know SAP.
Anyway, so that's somewhere in what I just jabbered is my idea for this piece here.
Cool story. So somewhere there will be an idea.
Cool story, bro.
All
Make sure you're right about it now. Yeah.
Excellent. All right. So read this in your inbox next week, and then watch our next installment in 2 weeks. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.